Hello folks, good evening to everyone. So I hope everyone is fine. How are you guys? And before I start off, just give me a quick confirmation if you guys can see my screen and also if I'm audible. And I'll also wait for the other folks to join in. And also let me know how many of you folks can, how many of you folks have attended the first two sessions of this live series. Just give me a quick confirmation in the chat. So while you guys give the confirmation, for new folks who have attended this third part, I'd like to inform that we have a free learning platform called as Great Learning Academy, where we have more than 100 courses with respect to data science, artificial intelligence, full stack development, statistics, cloud computing, and a lot more. And once you complete all of these courses, you will get a course completion certificate, and you can add that onto your resume or onto your LinkedIn profile. And to those folks who have attended my previous two last sessions, then this is something different which we are doing over here. So this is a live session series. So we are conducting a Python live session series, and this is the third part of it. And then this particular, so the agenda of these live session series is if you attend all of the 8 sessions, so there are 8 sessions in total, and if you attend all of the 8 sessions, then you will also get a certificate. So that would be an incentive for you guys to regularly attend the session and also learn Python comprehensively. So if you have not yet attended the first 2 sessions, so I guess someone from the moderator team can put up the links for the first 2 sessions over here, and you can check out those videos right now. And since everything is set, I believe we can start off with the session. So also guys, again, I see that there's a watching of 144 and we've got only 55 likes. So you can just show us more love by hitting on the like button, because all we expect from you folks is a bit of love, and you can show that by clicking the like button, and I'll encourage us a lot to come up with more such live sessions on a regular basis. And also, if you guys haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe, and also please click on the bell icon, as we aim to provide high quality education to everyone across the world. So guys, just show us some love, hit the like button, and also click on the subscribe button. And also throughout my live sessions, I've been telling you guys that I keep my sessions as interactive as possible. So if you have any doubts, you can go ahead and put them up in the chat section. I will take as many questions as possible. So now that the formality is done, what we'll do is it's finally time to learn the concepts of object-oriented programming in Python. Now, as you see over here, you have all of these different things over here. When you look around you, what do you actually see? So the laptop which is there in front of you, or if you have a phone in your hand, or maybe let's say if there's a bike parked outside your house, or if you have a dog, what exactly are these? All of these are real life objects are in there. And now, if you have to represent all of these real life objects in the programming world, you would need something known as an object-oriented programming language. And this is where Python comes in, because Python is an object-oriented programming language. So now that if we have to represent real world entities in the programming world, we would need an object-oriented programming language. So let's understand the two main components of it. So the two main components of object-oriented programming would be a class, and then we obviously have an object. So what exactly is a class? You can consider a class to be a template or a blueprint for real world entities. Now, if we talk about a phone or a mobile, Now, how will a template of a phone look like? Now, when I say a template, again, this template will have two things associated with it. First is the properties, then we have the behavior. Now, every phone that you have, it'll have these properties. So, a phone will have a color associated with it, a phone will have a cost associated with it, and a phone will have battery life associated with it. Then, a phone also has certain behavior. So with the help of a phone, you can make calls, you can watch videos in a phone, and also play games in a phone. So when you combine these properties and behavior together, this is when you will get the template of a class. And this combining of properties and behavior together is what is known as encapsulation. So these are just some basic things about classes. Now, that was how you look at a class when it comes to a real world entity. But what exactly is a class in Python? So, a class in Python, you can consider it to be a user defined data type. So let's say if you have predefined data types such as integer, boolean, structure, and float. So all of these are data types which are already present in Python. Now, if you would want to create a data type by yourself, that is where a class comes in. So here what we are doing is we are creating an altogether new data type called as mobile. And this mobile will have attributes and methods associated with it. So these attributes are nothing but the properties, and these methods are nothing but the behavior of this particular class. So that is all about a class. Now we will understand what exactly is an object. As it is stated over here, an object is a specific instance of a class. So if we take a mobile, then there could be a lot of mobile brands, isn't it? So you can have Apple, you can have Motorola, and you can have Samsung. So these different brands of this mobile would be what is known as an object. So you have an Apple object, a Motorola object, and a Samsung object. So similarly, if you would want to relate this in Python, so as you see over here, ABC are the data types over here, and you are assigning the value 10 to A, 20 to B, and 30 to C. So similarly, what we are doing over here is for the data type mobile, we are creating objects. So we have the Apple object for the class mobile. Similarly, we have the Motorola object for this class, and also we have the Samsung object for this class. So this is how this is all about the basics of classes and objects. So now that is clear, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and create a class in Python. And to create a class in Python, we would have to start off by writing this keyword called as class. And after writing class, we will give in the name of the class over here. So the name of the class will be equal to phone. And once we create this class, we will create two methods inside this. And we create a method with the help of this def method. So here, as you see, I am writing def, and I am creating this method called as make call. And with the help of this method, all I am doing is I will print out making phone call. Then I will go ahead and create another method or another function called as play game. And with the help of this, all I'm doing is printing out playing game. So here, as you see, there is a parameter called as self inside these two methods. Now for now, just don't think much about this self attribute. So for now, just consider that if we have to invoke whatever is present inside this class with the object which we create, we would need this self parameter of this self attribute, right? So for now, just understand this, right? So we have created this class, we have these two methods inside this class, and once our phone template is ready, we can go ahead and create an object for this phone class. And this is how we are creating this object. So we will give in the name of the class, and we'll just assign this to to any other object. So here we have p1 is equal to phone, and this is how we are creating this object. And after we create this object, as I've told you, we can directly go ahead and invoke these methods. So when I type in p1 dot, so we are using the dot operator. So here p1.makeCall. I am directly invoking this method, and as you see, I am printing out making phone call. Similarly, when I have p1.playGame over here, you would see that I am printing out playing game. So this is the basic understanding of it. Now we'll go ahead and implement the same command over here in Jupyter Notebook. So for those folks who haven't attended the previous 2 sessions and who are new to Python, so consider this Jupyter Notebook to be the environment or to be the space where you'll be implementing all of your Python code. So that's brief about this Jupyter Notebook. I'll go ahead and create this class, and I will give the name as phone over here. And inside this, I would need to create 2 methods. The first method I'll give in def, and I'll just write in the name of this method as playing game. This will have only one parameter inside this, which is self. And what I'm doing over here is, with the help of this method, I'll just be printing out I am playing a game. Then I will go ahead and create another method called as, let's say, make call. This again will only have one attribute called as self, and here I'll be printing out making a call. And we have created the template of this class. Now that we have created the template of this class, I can create an object. So here I will just write down p1 is equal to phone. And when I create this object, I can directly invoke both of the methods. So here I will have p1 dot playing game. And as you see, when I invoke this method, I have successfully printed out I am playing a game. Then after this, when I am invoking p1.makeCall, you would see that I am printing out making a call. So we have successfully created our first class in Python and also have created an object for it and invoked the methods which were present inside it. So till now we did not have any external attributes over here, and now we will add some more attributes. So as you see, I don't have any what do we call it? So let's say we don't have any internal parameters inside this class or internal properties inside this class. So let's go ahead and set those internal properties. So what I'll do is I will have 4 additional methods over here. I have set color, set cost, show color, show cost. And with the help of set color, I am going ahead and assigning the color. So as you see, instead of just having the self parameter over here, I also have the color parameter, and here I have self.color is equal to color. Now this might be a bit confusing, but I'll tell you the difference between these two. So this color is this is local to this particular scope, and I'm taking this and I'm assigning to the attribute color which is present inside the phone class. Similarly, I have this cost and I'm taking this local parameter cost and I'm assigning to the attribute cost which is present inside the phone clause. So this is how I'm assigning the values for color and cost. And once I assign the values for color and cost, I can just go ahead and show out the result. So to show the color, I'll have show def of show color. And since this does not have any external parameters, so I'll just write down return of self.color. And it will return the color which I've assigned over here. Similarly, if I would have to return cost, so here you would have def of show cost, and here as you see I am returning the cost. I've added these 4 new methods, and these two, the next set of 2 methods are pretty much the same over here. So what I'll do is I will take this entire thing and I'll paste it over here, and I will add 4 new methods. So I will write down def, and after this I would have to assign colors. So I'll give the name of this method as assign color over here. Self is compulsory. So guys, remember this: whenever you're creating a method or a function inside a class, you definitely need to give this self parameter. If you don't give this self parameter, you'll get an error. And after this, I'm giving a new parameter called as color. and I am going ahead and assigning this to the attribute color, which is present in our phone class. So I'll have self.color is equal to color. Then similarly, I'll go ahead and assign the cost. So I will have def of assign cost. Here I'll have self cost, and inside this I will have self.cost is equal to cost. So I have assigned the values for color and cost. Then I can just go ahead and show out these two. So here I have def of show color. This takes in only one parameter, which is self. Then I can just go ahead and return this out. So I'll have return of self dot color. Then I'll similarly show out the color. So here I will have show cost, and I will return the cost over here. So it will be self dot cost. And as you see, I have created this or modified this phone class. I'll create a new object called as p2. So p2 will be equal to phone. This is our new object. Now with the help of this object, I can assign a color and a cost to this phone. So I'll have p2 dot assign color. Let's see, the color is orange. I'll also assign cost for this. So I'll have p2 dot cost, and so this has to be p2 dot assign cost over here, and I'm assigning the cost of $155. So seems like this is an extremely expensive phone. So now that I have assigned the color and the cost, I can just show out these two. So p2 dot show color, and when I hit on run, you would see that I get the value is equal to orange. Similarly, when I show out the cost, I'll have p2 dot show cost. You would see that the cost of this phone is equal to 555. So this is how we have added new attributes and new methods into our class. So let me head to the chat section now, and let me take up some questions. Rohit Sethi is saying, I want to learn Python from beginners to advanced. Sure, that's great to know. So again, if you haven't attended the earlier two sessions, maybe you can attend those two sessions and also follow this properly. And guys, if you attend all of the 8 sessions, I can assure you guys that you will be learning all the major concepts of Python in these 8 sessions. Because we have curated this live session course in such a way that every single topic is properly covered. Shivendra Deep is asking, why not init? We will cover it. We'll definitely cover it. So because I would want, as I've told you, I want to cover every single thing. So init, for those guys who don't know, it is a constructor, and that just comes after the basic stuff. So we've covered the basic stuff now, and going ahead, we'll see how to use init as well. Akshay is saying, can you go a bit slow? Sure, absolutely. And if you have any doubts anywhere, you can put them up in the chat. I will try to take up as many questions as possible. Rakshita is asking, does this session cover OOPS concepts? Yes, today's session is entirely dedicated to object-oriented programming. Tushar is asking, how many sessions are left for the certificate? So this is the 3rd session, Tushar. So 5 more sessions to go. Komal is asking, what is the difference between method and a function? Well, both of them are same. It's just that when it comes to nomenclature, whenever we are using a function inside a class, we tend to call it a method. That's pretty much it. But there's no difference between a function and the method. It's just that if we're using a function inside a class, we generally tend to call it a method. CB Rajendran is asking, do we have a course on computer networks? Not as of now, but we'll keep this request in mind and see if someone from our team can make up a video on computer networks. Utkarsham is asking, what if we have missed the previous sessions? Will we still get the certificate? Yes. So what you have to do is you would have to go back to the playlist which is there later on, and if you watch it, or maybe if you register on Great Learning Academy, go back and register over there. Well, no, and once you watch all of these in a sequence, you'll be getting a certificate. Abhishek is asking how to add media button in Pygame. Abhishek, so that's not the agenda of this session. I don't want to deviate from the agenda, so maybe we'll cover that in some other session. Varashetty is saying both color and cost can be used in same method. Yes, absolutely. Both of them can be assigned in the same method. It's just that since we are new to object-oriented programming and we are new to how to create methods over here, that is why I've created two separate methods over here. So some of you folks are asking me to explain self again. So sure. Self, with the help of self, whenever I am creating an object, so here as you see, when I am creating this object called as P2, now here you would see that I have this attribute called as self, and when I'm assigning this value of color over here to this attribute of color, so I have self dot color. This would mean when I have P2 dot assign color of orange, it would mean that when I say self, you can take it literally. So this P2 object will have an attribute called as color, and to that self, when I say self, it would mean that to that particular attribute of P2, I am assigning this value of orange. Similarly, over here you have P2 dot assign cost. Then this P2 object will have an attribute called as cost, and with the help of self, I am assigning this value of cost to that attribute. So I hope this would help you now. Neetu is saying, I don't have knowledge of any language. Can I learn it easily? Sure. And also the best part about this course is everything is in sequence. So if you follow everything in a sequence, I'm pretty sure the learning will be quite easy and quite smooth. Great. So I've taken enough questions. Again, I'll head back to the session. In the meanwhile, if you have any more questions, you can add them in the chat. I'll make sure I'll take up as many questions as possible. So guys, again, we have a watching of 196. So let's go ahead and make the number of likes to be 196, or let's actually make the number of likes to be 200. Right? So again, guys, that is what makes me happy. If you're enjoying the session, if you find this insightful, let's go ahead and get the number of likes to be 200. And also, if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, hit the subscribe button and also click on the bell icon. And also, the best thing which you can do is, if you're finding all of these sessions to be insightful, you can spread the word of mouth about great learning. You can tell about great learning to your friends, to your peers, or to your colleagues, and whoever wants to upskill themselves during this lockdown and get a certificate, you can tell them that we are doing that, and just spread more love about great learning. So that will encourage us a lot. Alright, so now that we have done this, I guess one of you is asking about using an init method, and that is what we'll be doing now. So till now we have only created some basic methods inside this class, but instead of those basic methods, if I would actually want a method with the help of which I can initialize all of the attributes which are there in my class when I'm instantiating the object itself, then I can use the constructor. So whatever I've said might again sound confusing to you. So let me go back to the previous example over here. So as you see, So when I'm creating an object or when I'm instantiating this P1 object over here, I'm not giving any values to the attributes, right? But let's say if I have an employee class like this, and in the employee class, let's say there's name of the employee, age of the employee, salary of the employee, and gender of the employee. Now, I want to assign all of these values directly when I'm creating the object itself. I don't want to create additional 4 methods or maybe additional method to assign the values for these 4 attributes. So what I can do is I have this special method in Python called as init, which is constructor. So again, if you have worked with other languages such as C, C++ or Java, you would know the concept of a constructor. So whenever you're creating an object, at that time itself, you can assign the values for all of your attributes. And here, as you see, I've got these 4 parameters over here, name, age, salary, and gender. And I'm assigning the values of name, age, salary, and gender to my attributes of the class. And once I assign all of these values, I can go ahead and just print out the values. So to print out the values, I'll just create another method called as employee details. This again will have only one parameter, which is self, and I'll just print out name of the employee as self.name, age of the employee as self.age, salary of the employee as self.salary, and gender of the employee as self.gender. Once we create the template of it, here as you see, when I am instantiating the E1 object, during the time of instantiation itself, I am passing on all of the values. I'm giving the name of the employee, which is Sam. I'm assigning the age, which is 32. I'm assigning the salary, which is 85,000. And I am also assigning the gender, which is male. And when I invoke the employee details method, you would see that all of the details have been printed out. So this is where the init method comes in. This is a constructor in Python, and with the help of this, you can directly assign the values when you're instantiating the object itself. And this is very important. So this is if you guys are still in engineering or BCA, and if you are appearing for campus placements, then this is a very important question which is asked regularly. So keep this in mind. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and delete all of this stuff from over here. And now once I do that, I'll go ahead and create a new class. So here I will have class. I will give the name of this class as employee. And once I create this, I'd have to add this new method called as init. And inside the init method, first I need to give self. Then I will have name of the employee. After this, I'll have age of the employee. Then I will have salary, and then finally I'll have the gender of the employee. Then I'll just go ahead and assign all of these values. So it'll be self.name is equal to name, self.age is equal to age. Then I will have self.salary is equal to salary. Going ahead, I'll have self.gender is also equal to gender. And now that I have assigned all of these values, I'll just go ahead and I can print out these values. So I'll give the name of this as employee details. This will have only one parameter, which is self. And then I can just go ahead and print out the values. So here it will be name of the employee is, I'll write down self.name. Then I'll have age of the employee is, here I'll write down self.age. Then next I'll have salary of the employee is, here I will have, let's say, self.salary. Then we will have finally gender. I'll write down gender of the employee is, here I'll write down self.gender. And now that we have created this class, I can go ahead and create an object out of it. I'll give the name of the object as E1. I'll write down employee over here. First, I need to give the name. Let's say the name of this person is, let me just write down Sid. Then I'll give an age. So let's say Sid is 28 years old. And let's say Sid earns around $110,000. And Sid is obviously male. And now that we have created this employee, I can go ahead and invoke employee details. So E1 dot employee details, and this time when I hit on run, you would see that I have printed out all of the details of this employee, whose name is Sid, his age is 28, his salary is $110,000, and obviously he's male. So interesting stuff over here again. So now that we are done with this example, let me head back to the chat again, and let me see what are you guys saying. Super user sudo is asking us self-equivalent to this in Java. Exactly. So if you have worked with Java, then you can consider self to be equivalent to this. That would be the perfect analogy if you're trying to relate self to this. No Oxygen is asking, is it possible to achieve the same task without self? No, that wouldn't be possible. I'll just show you what will happen if I remove out self from out of here. So maybe I'll just remove this self from over here. Alright, and also I'll try to run this here. When I have this, so as you see, init takes 4 positional arguments. So here maybe we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. E1 is equal to employee 1, 2, 3, and 4. So again, this wouldn't really be possible. Let me actually just give this to be equal to like this over here. Let me remove self from here as well, and let me remove self from here as well. Now when I run this is again the error which we get. So employee details self, what I'll do is I'll remove again self from here. Alright, so here as you see, without self it will not really work. So that is why self is important to give over here. Now let's see, maybe if I even remove self from here, let me try and remove self from everywhere. We have it. Let me delete everything. So again we get the same error. So without self you will not be able to perform this. Some of you guys are asking me to zoom the screen. Sure, I'll do it. 150% will be too much. Let me keep it around 125%. Is this better? I am just going through your questions right now. Akshay Patil is asking, why do we use double underscore before and after? And that is just the syntax of the method. That is how you create the method. Right, so this will be completely different. So this init is completely different. This will not be considered as a constructor. If you have to create a constructor, then you would have to give in 2 underscores before init and 2 underscores after init. So again, that's just the syntax. Legend Killers is saying, please teach in Hindi. Sure. So probably once we are done with these 8 sessions, we can have another live session series in Hindi as well. That's a good suggestion actually. When is the next live session? So I guess someone from the moderator team can put it up. Ramakrishna Tirumala is saying number of arguments should be same in both function call and function definition. Yes, absolutely. Because if if you have only 4 parameters over here, and if you're passing 5 parameters while invoking the function, obviously you'll get the error. Pavan Kumar is asking, why do we need to create a constructor? As I've told you, if you want to initialize all of the attributes during the time of object creation itself. So as you see over here, while I'm creating this object, at the same time I am assigning all of the values to my attributes which are present. Akshay Sunil is asking, will Python learning help in R Studio for ML? Well, the syntax for Python and R is quite similar. And if you'd want to get into the field of machine learning, again, as I've been telling you, it's not a question of Python versus R. It's more of a question of Python and R. Because both of them are equally important and both of them have their own advantages. So if you learn Python, it'll be quite easy for you to learn R. Similarly, if you learn R, it'll be quite easy for you to learn Python. Sandeep is asking what will be the topic of next live session. So in the next live session, we'll be starting off with some of the Python libraries. So maybe we'll cover NumPy and Pandas in the next session. Rohit Sethi is asking, deep learning with Python is different from this. Right, that is true, and deep learning is something which we'll not be covering in this live series because we would actually need to use some deep learning frameworks such as Keras or TensorFlow or PyTorch, and that will become too complicated for this live session series. So maybe we can have a separate series called as Deep Learning with Python, and we'll have an extensive series with respect to that. Mriganka is asking, can we run this program without assigning employee to E1? We can do that, but what is the point of it? So what I'll do is maybe just quickly over here, I'll give this out. I'll again give in self over here wherever I had removed self. Let me give it back. Sure, I'll have self.name, then I'll have self.age, self.salary, self.gender. Here I need to return self.name, self.age, self.salary, and self.gender over here again. Let me write it properly. And now that I have done this, right, and now let's say if I only have employee over here, this is what I get. Now this tells us that we have created an employee object, right? So as you see, we have created an object for this class called as employee. And now let me actually try something interesting. So I'll give in the dot operator, and I'm trying to see if I can directly invoke it like this. So seems like we can't directly invoke it like this. So employee, this employee details, take 0 positional arguments, but 1 was given. So it seems like we would have to externally create an object to invoke the other methods which are present. So this is something interesting for you guys. So now that we have looked at this, let's head back to the next topic, which is about inheritance. And inheritance is extremely important. So if we again compare this to real world, so what happens in inheritance is one class derives the property of another class. You will have a parent class and you will have a child class, and the child class will be inheriting features from its parent class. Let's understand the example over here. So we have this parent class called as vehicle, and inside this parent class we've got the init method, which is the constructor, and with the help of this constructor I'm just assigning the values for mileage and cost. After this we've got the show details method. With the help of this I am printing out the value of mileage, the value of cost, and also I just write an additional line which is I'm a vehicle. So now that we create this class, we will create an object of it. We'll call it v1. As you see, we have a constructor, so that is why we are passing in. So we are passing in a value of 500 for mileage. Similarly, we are passing in a value of 500 for cost as well. Now that we create this object, with the help of this object, I am invoking this show details method. And when I invoke this show details method, I'll get this entire result. So this is our parent class. Now, after creating the parent class, we would also need a child class. So here, as you see, class of car. Now, in the parent class, you'd see that this does not have a parenthesis. But if our child class or a class has to inherit something, then we will give this parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis, we will give in the name of the parent class from which this class has to inherit. So here, as you see, this child class, which is car, is inheriting from this parent class called as vehicle. And once it inherits this, I'll have an extra method which is exclusive to this car class. So I'll have a method called as show car, and this will just print out I'm a car. Then I'll go ahead and create an object of this car class, and inside this I am passing in the values 200 and 1200. But why am I doing this? I don't have, so as you see, if you notice this clearly, I don't have a constructor inside the car class. But even though I don't have a constructor, I'm able to pass in the values of 200 and 1200. How is this possible? That is possible because car is inheriting vehicle. And since car is inheriting vehicle, it would mean that it would also inherit the methods which are present in the vehicle class. So that is why the vehicle class now will also have the init method and also the show details method. And since the car class has now inherited the init method, I can pass in the values for 200 and also 1200. So this is how I am assigning the values for mileage and cost. Now once I assign these two values, I can just invoke show details method. So again, you would note that show details method is not a part of this class. But even then we are able to invoke this because this car class is inheriting from the vehicle class. And now once we invoke this, we have printed this out. So this is all about this is how this child class object is able to invoke the methods of the parent class. And since we also have a method which is there in the child class itself, which is show car. So when I have c1.showCar over here, we are directly printing out I am a car. So this is how we can, this is a perfect example of inheritance where a child class is inheriting methods from the parent class. So let me delete all of the above stuff from over here again. I'll just write this over here. So I'll have class. The name of this class will be equal to vehicle. This is the parent class. And inside the parent class, I'll create a constructor. So I'll have def. This will be init. And this will have two parameters. The first parameter will be mileage and the second parameter is obviously cost. Then I'll go ahead and set the mileage over here. So self.mileage will be equal to mileage. Then I'll have self.cost is equal to cost. So this is how I am assigning the values with this constructor. Then I can just show out the vehicle details. So I'll have show vehicle details. This will only have the self attribute. And here I am printing out the mileage of the vehicle is. And this will be equal to self.mileage. Then I'll be printing out the cost of the vehicle is. Here I'll be printing out self.cost. And I've created this parent class. Now it's time to create the child class. So for this I'll have class of car and since this is inheriting from the vehicle class, I'll just give in vehicle inside parenthesis. Then I'll create one extra method for this car class, which will be show car details. This will obviously have a self parameter over here, and what I'm doing over here is just printing out I am a car. Now that we have created the parent class as well as the child class over here, let me go ahead and create an object of this. So I'll have C1 is equal to car. So as you see, this does not have the init method, but since this is inheriting from the vehicle class, I'll be able to pass in values for mileage and cost. So let's say the mileage of this car is 333 and the cost of this car is $700. So I have created this object. Now I can just invoke the show vehicle details method. So C1.show vehicle details, and here you would see that I have printed out the mileage of the vehicle is 333 and the cost of the vehicle is 700. So this is actually the method of the parent class. Similarly, let me go ahead and invoke the method of the child class, which is show car details, and as you see, I have printed out I'm a car. So we've got a perfect example of inheritance over here. Right. So now that we're done with this, again I'll head back to the chat section and let me take up some more questions, or let me just see what are you guys saying over here in the chat. So guys, again, let's go ahead. So we've got 223 likes right now. So we've got 10 more minutes. Let's see if we can get the number of likes to 300 today. Right. So if you can get the number of likes to 300, that will be awesome. So what I believe is, let's say if you have a watching of 188, normally I believe we need to at least get double the number of likes. Right, so quickly just let's get the number of likes to 300. That'll be awesome. And also, if you haven't yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button right now. And also, if you haven't yet clicked on the bell icon, click the bell icon right now. Right, because if you're not doing so, well, that would be very wrong, because we are putting in a lot of effort from our side. So yeah, now let me take up some questions. Subrata is asking, what is main? Could you tell me in which particular line of the code you're talking about main? Pavan Kumar is asking, can we add more attributes without defining inside init? Yes, actually we can. That can be done. Ramakrishna is asking, can we pass any default parameter? Yes, that can also be done, but as you know, a default parameter, the value can be changed. So initially we can have one particular value, but that value can be changed later on. Dinesh Kumar is asking, in which situation is inheritance used? Good question. So all of these examples which you've seen over here. So let's say if you have a simple template of a phone, then you can have a different varieties of phones, isn't it? You'll just create a general template for a phone, and when you create a general template, now you can modify the general template and make it more specific with respect to different brands, right? So as you've seen during the theory class, a phone will have a cost. With the help of a phone, you can make a call. A phone will have a battery life. So these are some things which are common to every phone that you have. But there'll be only some things which are specific to a phone. So let's say if you have iPhone, then you'll have let's say some things which are related to touch, or some things which are related to sound, which are only specific to iPhone. Similarly, let's say if there is Samsung, there could be some things which are only related to Samsung. So these are some things where there is a difference between these different objects. So that is where all of this object-oriented programming comes in. Pawan Kumar is asking, are OOPS concepts useful for machine learning? Well, they're not generally used much, but it's good to know all of the concepts of Python if you're learning Python, right? Jitendra Kaur is asking, can you start again from basic? Which basics are you talking about? Is this about the object-oriented programming basics or the Python basics? And if you ask me to go back to either of these basics, I can't do so because again, this is a sequence and I'd have to follow the sequence. If you have missed out on something, you can you can definitely go back and watch the first session and the second session again. And also if you have missed out the starting of this video, you can also do that. So that's a very good question from Bhau. What if car class has its own init method, and in this case, which init method is invoked? And that is what I was about to cover in the next example. So as you guys see over here, we are overriding the init method. So if we have an init method inside the child class, then we will be overriding the init method of the parent class. So here what we'd have to do is, here as you see, I will just pass in the values for mileage and cost which are already present in the parent class. And apart from mileage and cost, I have two more attributes with respect to the child class. So in the child class, I am assigning the values of tires and HP, and tires and HP are specific to the child class over here. And now, to actually pass in these values of mileage and cost to your parent class, you have another method called as super, because your parent class is also known as a super class. And now you are invoking this init method of your super class or your parent class, and to the init method of your parent class, you are passing in the values of mileage and cost through your child class. Once you do that, you have two more attributes which are tires and HP, and all you're doing is you are assigning the values of tires and HP over here inside the child class. And now once you assign all of these values, you can just go ahead and show out the details using this method. So this time you have show car details, and here you are showing out number of tires are this much and value of horsepower is this much. After all of this is done, you are creating an object of your child class. So here you have C1 is equal to car of 20, 12,000, 4 and 300. So here you'd have to keep in mind that 20 and 12,000, these are values for your parent class actually. 20 is mileage, 12,000 is cost, and these two values would directly go into the init method of your super class or your parent class. Then you have 4 and 300 over here. So 4 and 300 will go for tires and HP of your child class. And once you assign all of these values, you can just print out the details over here. First, you're printing out the details for your parent class. So C1.show details. Here you would see that I'm a vehicle, mileage of vehicle is 20 and cost of vehicle is 12,000. Then you're going ahead and printing out the details for your child class. Here you will see I'm a car, number of tires are 4 and value of horsepower is 300. So this is how you are using or overriding the init method in the child class. So most of you folks are asking what is super.init or what is super over here. Super would indicate that this is your parent class, right? Now, as you see, this is our child class, and this child class is inheriting from your parent class, which is vehicle. And inside your child class, you have the init method. Now, when your child class has an init method and the parent class also has an init method, how do you distinguish between these two init methods? So to distinguish, you have this method called as super. And what super means, it just means your parent class. So to pass in the values for mileage and cost, you are using super.init, which would mean you are invoking the init method of the parent class. And here, since you are invoking the init method of your parent class, that is why you are passing in the values for mileage and cost, which belong to your parent class over here. So I hope that clears out your confusion. Pawan Kumar is asking, is it necessary to define the parent class attributes in child class as well? If you have a constructor in the child class, then yes, you would have to pass in the values for the parent class attributes as well. Rakshita is asking, what do we need to do when we have mileage, cost, tires and HP all together? That is what we are doing over here, isn't it? So we have this init method inside the child class, and inside this init method we are passing in the values of everything together. So here, as you see, when I'm creating this object of child class, you would see that I am passing in all of the values together. I'm passing in the values for mileage, cost, tires and HP. Everything is being passed together at the same time. Sandeep Kumar is asking, if we have two parent classes, then how will we differentiate? So this is where we'll have different types of inheritance. So if we have multiple different parent classes, then we have two different cases over here. We can have multiple inheritance. So multiple inheritance is a case where your child is inheriting from parent 1 as well as parent 2. Then you have something known as multi-level inheritance. So in multi-level inheritance, you will have grandfather-parent-child relationship, which would mean that your parent is inheriting features from your grandparent and you are inheriting features from your parent. Subrata is asking, do we have any option to clear doubts in the app? Well, I guess there is, and if you're not able to understand something, you can send queries to Great Learning Academy and it will be taken up. And also, the best part about this live session series is, if you, after the first 4 live sessions, there will be a doubt clearing session. So it will be a complete 1 hour live doubt clearing session where it is entirely dedicated to what you've learned in the first 4 sessions. So whatever doubts you have with respect to the first 4 sessions, I'll be taking ahead all of your questions in that 1 hour live session. Gurvinder Saini is asking, can we print all by child class? Again, that is what we were doing over here, isn't it? So here, as you see, I'm passing in all of the values with this child object. And as you see over here, this is the same child object. With the same child object, I am invoking the method for the parent class as well as the child class. Great. So I believe we have covered most of the topics today, and also I've covered most of the questions. So I did not show you the demo for multiple inheritance and multi-level inheritance as we are done with the time. So maybe we can cover this in some other session. Maybe we can cover this in the doubt clearing session. So this is it from my side, guys. And also, before signing off, if you can just go ahead and like the stream, we'll appreciate that a lot, because we taken a lot of effort to bring all of these live sessions for you guys on a regular basis, because we would want to make sure that your lockdown is as productive as possible. And you can show us your love by liking the stream, by subscribing to our channel and hitting the bell icon. So guys, before signing off, it's my earnest request that if you could like the stream, if you could subscribe to our channel, that would be very grateful. So thank you very much, and let's meet in the next class. Thank you so much, folks.